Welcome to the fish tank.
Hey everybody, Fishman here, and welcome to another video. This is my fish room after 2 weeks away in Tokyo. It is in need of some TLC. My wife, bless her heart, did a wonderful job as far as feeding and topping up the water and keeping everything running. But I didn't have her do any of the maintenance. No water changes, no sucking mulm out of the bottom of the tank like this, or any filter cleaning, any of that sort of stuff. And I just had her feed and top up. So it's time to do all those things. One of the things I noticed between this system, which is air-driven, and the other system, which is run by 3 pumps, is this air-driven system, even though the water level is getting a little low in it and the filters weren't working at maximum efficiency or anything like that, I didn't really have any issues with it because everything still ran. This system, though, unfortunately is prone to having snails or mulm or something plug the inputs. So if you don't know what to look for, they can stop flowing properly. And I did have 4 tanks by the time I got back that weren't running at all, really. So they're getting quite stagnant. Now, before I left, I had drastically reduced the fish population in this actually in the whole fish room, and that actually saved any real issues happening here. But as you can tell, like this tank here, it just isn't running. And like I said, it's time to get all that up and going again. You notice all the little pieces of paper you see there? Those are my wife's notes. She left them there to remind how much food to put in each of them. She was very worried about hurting any of the fish. And like I said, she did a great job. And I'm very grateful that she actually took the time to do this. This tank here, I want you to remember, because that is the tank that I had spawned those rescue fish in, the comet goldfish. And all the eggs fungused, and it was really getting quite disgusting. So because I had to go away, I cleaned out that whole tank and got it flowing properly, because I didn't want that bad water in this while I was away. So it's just keep that in mind. This tank here, I had taken all the frog bait out and all the duckweed and just left 10 pieces of frog bait. I didn't think there was any duckweed there at all. But this is how much it grew back in the 2.5 weeks since like the trip. It's like, that's just crazy. I don't think I'm ever going to get rid of the duckweed. So here we are. It's a week later now. I've done a bunch of water changes. I've cleaned a little bit of glass. I'm not really a glass cleaner. Like I said, this is just my work tanks, and then, unless I'm actually doing recording, I just don't bother. And this is the other system. I mean, the water's all nice and clean now. There's a couple tanks still that need a little extra work. It is kind of hard to get to them all. I mean, I actually had all my clients' tanks I had to clean as well, and that was another, almost 100 aquariums to clean. So it was a very busy week, let's just put it that way. Tokyo was a very fun trip, and definitely don't regret going. But I don't think I'll ever go away for 2 weeks ever again. It just amounts to way too much work, prepping and then getting ready on the way back. It's just, ends up not being worth it. So that tank that I told you to remember, this is it here. It's cleaner now. And there is a goldfish in there. Actually, there's 2. The funny thing about this is they weren't fed at all. The tank was empty, so I didn't even bother having my wife feed them. They are being fed by all the Gamaris or scuds and baby shrimp that go through the whole system. I mean, it's constantly a live food source for all the fish. And that's what they were fed on. And they grew to that size in 2.5 weeks, which is kind of cool. It's definitely a plus for that style for sure. So here's a new rack. It is time to get these up and running, and it's time to get back and start doing all the builds and getting everything running again. And a whole pile of experiments I want to do. So I fill them up halfway, and I just put an air stone in them to keep them running and get everything all set up. And now what I need to do is build the filters. And if you remember from the lead up to this, these are all going to be run by underground filters. And I'm going to start building those boxes. And here's the material for that. One of the things I was planning on doing originally was I was going to use the fluted ends of like this here of the PVC pipe, and I was going to use that to regulate the water flow. I've since changed my mind. I'm going to make these acrylic ones. Plus sides of this is it is wider, so the flow right through it won't be as restricted, and I can put a nice piece of sponge or a polyester wool in that, so it'll work better. And also, it's because it's clear, I'll have a better view of what's going on inside that, which is helps because, like I said, this is kind of an experimental rack. I want to try things out, and the more I can see, the more it'll work. So I'm going to put these boxes together. But one thing I'm not going to do in this video, actually I'm not going to do anytime real soon, hopefully next week, I'm going to set these up, but I want input. There's going to be 5 of these that are going to run. The sixth one is already tagged. I have very specific things in mind for that, and I won't be revealing that for quite some time yet. But there's going to be 5 that are going to be, like I said, experimental. I want you guys to give me suggestions on either media, run styles, different add-ons, whatever you want. You can review some of the videos for the underground filter coming up to this. Get some ideas from that if you like, or from anything else. And I want to try 5 different styles, and I want to see how it runs and see how effective it all is. I want, like I said, this is experimental. I don't really expect to see drastic differences, but that's not necessary. I mean, sometimes little subtle things end up making things work differently or better, or anyway, just if nothing else, interesting. So please leave comments and let me know your thoughts, and I will pick 5, either from my own ideas or your ideas or both, and we'll get that all running, and that'd be kind of cool. So there's the boxes. They're all set up now. I'm just going to have the trays in them, and like I said, I'm not going to put them in the tanks just yet, and they'll be all set up for next week. So now what I need to do is finish up the cups, the overflow cups, and because I'm going to be running them on the lathe, I glued them up, and then I let them cure overnight because the lathe does put a bit of torque on it, and I wanted to make sure that they didn't fall apart, which is kind of annoying. So this is what they look like right now. I'm going to just rough off the edges and then put them on the lathe and then smooth that down to round. Not really necessary, but it just makes it look nicer. And then I'm going to drill first a 1/2 inch hole, this one here, and then I'm going to put in a 3/4, same as I always do for all of them. The 3/4 is as close as I can get to the outside diameter for 1/2 inch PVC piping. And then I'm going to put that on the lathe and pare that down until I have a nice friction fit. I want it to not be glued. The whole point of this is to make adjustments to it. I want to be able to either lengthen or shorten a piece of pipe, run the water level higher or lower. So that means it has to all come apart. And then because there's a fair amount of hydrostatic pressure, I mean, this is going to be deeper than the ones below that are running. So I need to be able to have a tight enough fit that the water just won't, drain out and have half-filled tank in a few days. So there, that's that. And then I'm going to put those on. I actually got a nice tight fit in all of them, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. I think actually the cups look kind of cool. I'm gonna, again, I said I'm going to put a piece of sponge or polyester in there, or maybe both, just to see how they compare. And then this is going to sit in, and it's going to be the height gauge for the tank. And because I'm not glued, I can adjust it and fiddle around with it and all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to get that one of those up and running to show you how it works. And then, like I said, I'm going to leave the rest of it till next week. Like I said, I'm going to get some ideas, hopefully feedback or whatever, and then I'm going to try hooking stuff up, and we're going to get all that running. So this is the one tank that I'm going to get running for, well, just for the purposes of showing you guys how it's all going to set up. So I'm going to fill it up with water here, and then see how it overflows. And the other thing is I want to make sure it's going to maintain the water level over the next week, which is kind of important. If it doesn't, then I may have to glue some of this up. I don't really want to, but I'll have to do what's necessary to get this to work properly. So I'm going to get this running, and that's pretty much the end of this video. If you guys like this style of video, please like and or subscribe, and definitely leave lots of comments. I really like the comments. I am a little bit behind in leaving comments and watching videos. Like I said, I was away for a while, and between a bit of jet lag and also like I said, just simply having to get a lot of work done, I am, like I said, a bit behind, but I'll try and get caught up and all that. So I'm going to leave this running, make sure it works properly, and thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video, and bye for now, and so hopefully this will all work out fine. Talk to you later.